I pray that I also die too. Apparently you can.
Hey loves, welcome to Being Mad. I'm pretty sure you guys don't know what MAD means. MAD is an abbreviation that is called making a difference. So the M is making, the A is A obviously, and the D is for difference. So my content is basically content of substance. I've always known that I wanted to be on YouTube, but like I've always wanted to give content that has substance, give content that will teach the next person or inspire the next person, because I always say my aspiration in life is to inspire other people, you know. So yeah, I just want to keep it real, be authentic, and yeah, I'm about to, well, in a few minutes, tell you guys about a tragic story that is very close to my heart, and I specifically chose to do it here at the mountain because I feel like the mountain is where I feel closest to God. I don't know, hopefully get inspired to also be brave enough to speak about the uncomfortable truth, to speak about things that people don't necessarily speak about on an everyday basis, because obviously society judges us on things that we don't even choose for them to happen to us. So yeah, that's what my channel is about. So another video. So this video is a very personal video, and it's a video that's really dear to my heart. I really wanted to shoot this video in August because August was Women's Month obviously, and I thought that nah man, like September, with September being World Suicide Prevention Month around the world. It's a month to create awareness about people who commit suicide or who possibly have tried to commit suicide. So I decided to tell my story of how it intertwines. But I haven't told my story out aloud since the day that I've actually wrote my statement at the hospital. I didn't write my statement at the police station. I'm about to tell you about my sexual assault story. Not sexual assault, let me say my rape story. I hate saying the word rape because it just reminds me of what happened. So I always choose to say sexual assault, but then people always ask me, then how were you sexually assaulted, or what kind of assault it was. So now I'm trying my best to actually say the word rape, as vulgar as it sounds. I live in a country which is one of the highest rating countries in the world for rape cases. Approximately 10,000 cases of rape were registered in the first quarter of this year. I actually saw that on TV while passing at work, and I was like, I really feel like I do need to say something, to do something about it. It might not be a huge impact, but I do know that it will make me feel better, and hopefully it could inspire someone else maybe to be as brave as I am. It's not an easy journey. It took me a long time to even be able to admit that it happened. The rape statistics, sorry, I can't say the word. The rape statistics in South Africa this year are on 74.4%, which means that it has reached such a climax during the whole lockdown season. I'm not even sure why, but that really intrigued me. It even made me more sad that every 36 seconds in South Africa a woman gets raped. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 until you get to 36, a woman is raped in South Africa. And society, I feel like society has taught us to has made us to feel ashamed of our stories. Society has made us to be ashamed of things that we never thought. Society has made us to be ashamed of things that we never chose for the things to happen in our lives. So I basically want to be that person who changes that narrative. You shouldn't be ashamed of something that you never chose for it to happen to you. and this is why I'm personally telling my story. I feel like I've only told people half of my story. People don't know the entire piece of the story, because I also was ashamed. I was afraid of, what will people think of me? People are going to probably think, oh shit, Nuluvo is not as kind. She's a monster. I wouldn't want to date a girl like that. So yeah, that's basically why I never said the whole truth about the whole thing. Well, I wrote it like in my statement, but like when I tell it to people, I just tell them like the surface area. So today is that day where I feel like I'm just gonna say it out. And the other reason why, and what made me and pushed me to be at this point where I'm actually showing my identity and telling you guys what happened, is that my case right now is currently temporarily dismissed. So it doesn't mean it's dismissed completely. It just means that it's dismissed until they get the DNA samples that they've been saying they've been getting for the past 2 years. And what really upsets me about my particular case is that my accused, I don't know if you call it accused, my perpetrator received bail under false information. Like, I don't feel like the justice system went to go see, does this person do what he says he does in order for him to get out of jail. I can't really like say what his statement was, because I think it's, I don't know, probably goes against the law or whatever the case may be. Because I mean, if you basically say, if you reveal his identity or whatever the case may be, or talk into deep about the thing, you can also get like 3 years in jail. I'm not trying to get 3 years in jail, no, as much as it's my story. I'm also trying to proceed with my case. I still want my case to proceed and stuff like that. Also, another disclaimer, like, I'm not telling my story in hopes for people to feel sorry for me or people to feel empathetic for me. I'm telling my story because I want people to educate themselves on this matter and not feel ashamed on something that they haven't obviously chosen. So about 2 years ago, I worked for this company in Claremont. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say their name, so I'm not going to say their name. And I was assigned to work in Worcester on the 22nd of April. I remember I was going to take a train to work, but then the trains were burning that day. And then I called my dad, I told him, and then my dad was like, no, just take a taxi to Worcester. I took the last taxi at 6 p.m. to Worcester, and my colleagues that I was supposed to leave with, it left them because they thought there was another taxi that was going to go to Worcester. I got to the house where the company rented for us as like the people staying there. I got there at 8 o'clock. In that house I stayed with the landlord, the son of the landlord, and the daughter of the landlord with her kids. So we basically rented a room inside the house. I however did explain to my boss that I'm not comfortable like staying in a place where there's basically a family that I don't know, but they obviously assured us and saying, no, we worked with these people for years and it's probably like more inexpensive cost for them. I even went to the extent of actually looking for a place for us to stay, because that's how uncomfortable I felt, and I really wanted to just move and stay where, I don't know, where we don't have to stay with other people. So on the night of the 22nd of April 2019 is a day that I'd like to describe and say is the day that I died. When I say that I basically died on that day, that's the day that I got raped by a young man. I think he was in his late 30s, I think. So I got home around 8 p.m. in the evening, got home, put my bags in the room that I stay in, and I put on my PJs because obviously I was tired, it's late. He wasn't there in the house. I was just with the landlord's daughter. She was in her room, and I was just basically on my phone. I decided to sleep because it was late. So I was sleeping, and then around 12, the I'm gonna call him Tabo. I'm gonna give him a name. Tabo came back home, and he took his baby from the next room, and he came to my room, and he said he just wants to get some nappies for his child, right? And I was like, okay, I mean, you're getting nappies for your child. So he's like, no, I might as well gonna change the baby here. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, well, I don't really say okay, cool, but like it was just like, I mean, it's not that much of a big deal. So what happened was he put his child on the bed and said he was changing the child, and next thing he was like, no, I want to put the child to sleep. And obviously I was like, what the hell? And he laid next to me. As soon as I wanted to like stand up, that's when he left the child. Like, so the child was like here and he was here. So he basically like jumped over the child and came to me. And obviously I also got a fright, like, what the fuck are you doing, you know? And that's when he was like, I know you've liked me. I've seen I've seen how you look at me and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, I don't like you in that way. I don't even speak. Bear in mind, as much as I live in the same house with this guy, I never actually really spoke to him. The only people that I spoke to the only form of communication was just hi. That's about it. It was never a conversation to say that we were friends or whatever the case may be. What happened was, yeah, he basically jumped on top of me and pinned me against the bed. And while he was doing that, the baby was crying drastically, like crying. And at that point, I never screamed. Like I never screamed. I don't know if it was probably like a shock reflex or whatever the case was, but it was around 12. We continued fighting till I think he tore my t-shirt over here. Like, it just became, you know, when you tear the t-shirt, it becomes a bit wide. And I remember standing up, and he picked me up and he threw me on the bed again. We still continued to fight, and we fought. I finally actually did get away. I got to the door, and he stood at the door, and he was like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm just going to the bathroom. The bathroom was opposite my room. He literally stood there and looked at me. At that point, I don't know, like, I feel like when you're in that situation, you don't really think logically. I think you're in a moment of shock or whatever the case is. I went to the bathroom and I stood there, and he was like, I'm gonna leave the room, like, it's fine, I'm gonna leave the room, you don't have to worry. And I believed him. He stood up and he went to the lounge, and I went back into the room. And as I was holding my phone, as I was about to text a colleague of mine, he came in and hit the phone on the floor. And we fought again. That's when he was trying to kiss me and basically trying to be sexual with me. Eventually, I think it was around 1 a.m. something to 2. That was the time. I'm not even sure anymore, but I'm just like guessing. I think I became tired. I don't even think. I basically became tired of fighting. I tried my best, and that's how that's how he raped me that night. After that happened, I literally laid there. I never screamed, I never shouted, I never moved, I never did anything. I basically just laid there still. It was like my soul or my body has basically left me. It felt like, I don't know how it feels like if someone's killed, but like it felt like someone just killed me. And then he stood up. After he stood up, he asked me, he's like, are you okay? You know, I love you, right? You know, I want you to be my wife. You know, my child loves you and all of that stuff. And I didn't respond. And then that's when he went to the lounge, and I laid there. After a few minutes, I texted my colleague, and I think my exact words was Luzu. My exact words were Thabo raped me. Thabo's not his real name, but yeah, I have to use a fake name. And around 6 a.m, I think, that's when my employer and my colleague came to the house to come fetch me and rushed me to the nearest police station. At the police station, they rushed me to the nearest hospital. At the hospital, they called the police and the detective, and I had to write a statement. What broke my heart and what made me so fucking angry is how insensitive our police are, or our justice system is, I guess. Because as I was trying to tell like my story and trying to write the statement, the detective says to me, "Are you sure? Are you sure he's not your boyfriend? Are you sure you're not lying to us? Because if you're lying, this can spin on you and you could be the one who's facing jail time." For me, it felt like they were basically more worried if I'm going to stick to what I'm saying, because I was not crying. I was not crying. I was just basically in shock or in trauma of what happened. So I didn't. I mean, different people react differently to trauma. They react differently to things happen. Some people cry, some people don't cry at all. I feel like for me personally, I only reacted after. It was kind of like an afterthought, like, oh my gosh, this thing has happened to me. That's not where the nightmare actually started or went into deep. After they wrote my statement for me and they read it out loud to me and they asked me if I'm sure 10,000 times, I had to see a doctor, and then the doctor analyzed me internally, and he basically took some swabs to find DNA of foreign DNA that's obviously not mine, of the perpetrator, and he said he did. And he also wanted to take pictures of internal bruising, internal bleeding, and all of that stuff to prove that it was forceful, but unfortunately that is not allowed. Even if I'd permit that to be allowed to use it as evidence, it's not allowed. I then got a HIV kit. It's like to prevent you from getting HIV and all of that stuff. And I got a morning after pill to prevent pregnancy. That time I still haven't told my mom, because I know my mom has high blood pressure and all of that stuff. So I felt like, if I tell my mom right now, don't know if my mom would get like a heart attack or whatever the case may be. So I decided not to tell her, and we drove all the way to Cape Town, went to the place I was staying in, Claremont, and I slept there. I don't even remember when I texted my mom. I think I texted my mom only like 24 hours later, that's when I went home. Then what happened after that is that I felt normal. I tried so hard to believe that it never happened. So I just wanted to live a normal life. I just wanted to go to work again. I just wanted to just pretend like it never happened. Maybe, I don't know, like I just wanted everything to go back to normal. And then I started feeling very like sick or something. Like I just felt sick. I just felt uneasy, not the same anymore. And my mom was like, "No, you can't work for a company that has caused you such pain." So I quit my job and I went back home. I went for treatment. I kept on visiting my doctor. Everything went well. My tests came out negative, which means I obviously didn't have HIV. Yay! And so after that, I kept on obviously going to the hospital, getting my treatments, and Oh yeah, I already said that. My tests came out negative, which meant that I was clear for HIV. I think I did 2 pregnancy tests, and they also came out negative, which means I was not pregnant. Yeah, man. I basically did not sleep. I still don't sleep till today, literally. It's like a battlefield for me to sleep. I either have to gym, or I have to work myself tired, or I have to be on my phone for so long in order for me to fall asleep, because I don't know, it's just, ever since then I've just had insomnia. My biggest nightmare came in June, the end of June, if I'm not mistaken. It was my last checkup day at the hospital. This hospital was in Elite Park because I couldn't go to the one in Worcester. And the nurse asked me to take to pee in one of those pee whatever things, those pee cubicles. And I peed in the cubicle, and I was like, okay, great. I'm not gonna have to go to this hospital again, because I hated going to the hospital, and I hate the smell of the hospital either as well. And she came back and she said to me, what if I told you were pregnant? And I was like, well, I'll tell you I'm not, because obviously in Worcester I had a test not last week, 2 weeks ago. I had a test here, here, and I wasn't. So like, and plus I took the morning after pill that the doctor gave me, so it's pretty much impossible, And she said to me, well, I'm telling you, it is what it is. It's possible. You are pregnant. That's what I've never told anyone. And for me, I feel like that's when it's sunk in. Like, it's sunk in that, oh my word, this man has basically taken my life. He's taken my rights. He's taken everything that I basically believe in. I remember walking home thinking, like, what the hell? Like, these were definitely not in my plans, how am I gonna do? First of all, I'm a Christian. I don't believe in like doing what's against God's will, but at the same time, I don't want a baby of a criminal. I called my detective and I told him, and he was obviously puzzled as I am, And then the court wanted DNA to determine if the baby was his, as much as we probably all know it was his, because he's the only person who slept with me forcefully without protection. I told him I couldn't make a decision right away, because I just felt like I'm trying to be God when I'm not God. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. I spoke to my mom about it, and my mom was like, you know what, whatever decision you take, I'm about it, but I'm not really supportive for you to keep it. And I was like, first of all, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Like, what if this baby reminds me of him? What if I don't love this baby? What if, I was just, lots of things were going through my mind at that particular time. My mother also lost her job because she had to attend to me the whole time. I don't know, I think I probably like 3 times. I tried. I feel like I wanted to commit suicide, but I didn't, because like I was kind of scared. So like I drank a lot of panadas, but like I'd know at the end the panadas won't kill me, but I'd hope they would, you know what I mean? But they didn't. I'd just wake up and be like, oh, I'm alive again. I'd literally walk in the road full of cars, hoping that maybe a car could hit me, because anyway, I am dead internally, might as well be dead physically. That never happened. And then came the day that I had to decide. Now I was in that trimester of, do you keep it? Do you leave it? And the doctors were like, you have to decide now, and if you don't decide now, you're gonna have to keep it. And I was like, okay, let's go ahead with it. So I went to Worcester on the 5th of July, and I had to have a surgical removal. I must say that was one of the most heartbreaking moments in my life, because I never wanted to make that decision, nor did I want to keep it. So it was basically like I'm stuck in a decision that I do not want to make. And I even questioned my faith, like, how am I a real Christian if I'm gonna do such a thing? And I find it so unfair that he gets to live a normal life, and what has affected me doesn't really affect him as much. So on the 5th of July, I went to Worcester. I was booked in the hospital, monitored for several days, and I prayed. I was like, you know what? As I make this decision today, to obviously terminate this, I pray that I also die too. Apparently you can also die, I don't know, apparently, well, the doctor said like there is a chance of you dying when you do a termination closer to the time when you're not supposed to do one. So I think I was like in that bay night, so I was like, you know what, I pray that I die. So that's why I'm actually basically doing it. And I remember laying on the table, and they gave me like, I don't know, these pills where you don't feel anything and whatever, and I was put to sleep. So basically I don't even know how it happened or how it was taken or whatever the case is, but yeah, that was like the most painful and the most life-changing experience that I've had to go through. Even like till this day, I don't like babies, but I just don't like being around it, because it just feels like, oh my god, I know what I've been through, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's basically what happened.